Good evening, Speed Gaming 4, and welcome to the Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament. I'm Adirondack Rick, being joined by Slim Kirby, Nipboy on the tracking duty, and here we go. This is a Game 3.
That's right. We have Game 3 of the winners finals for Group M. The top two runners of this group going out in one more game to decide who gets to be the first person moving on to the bracket stage of the tournament from this group. Game 1 was a 3-second win, just 1 second above a tiebreaker for WeightyWords. BigDunka actually bringing it back in Game 2, changed it to a 6-6 crystal requirement to enter GT and beat Ganon. Came down to just two items that WeightyWords was looking for: Ice Rod for Turtle Rock, Hook Shot for Swamp. Couldn't quite get either of those, as BigDunka was able to clinch out the last item he needed to basically beat WeightyWords in that seed. So we are going to Game 3 to decide who is going to win this match. We have the same settings as Game 2 with the added addition of standard mode instead of open mode. Should be very, very fun. Looking forward to see how this plays out. Hope you're ready for this, Rick.
Absolutely. So we got standard mode, which means we're going to have to head on over towards the uncle, and he's going to have a random weapon. We're going to be doing 6-6 crystals. So the interesting question is, which crystal do you skip?
It's a good question. I mean, that's the thing with this 6-6 crystal meta. You have to think about, okay, which dungeon is good to skip? Do I try to see if I can avoid that nasty Ice Rod, which can be anywhere in the game? Or maybe we find that early, and maybe we can't find the Hook Shot or something, or maybe there's another item that we can't quite clear, like a Myra Medallion or something like that. You really have to kind of metagame a little bit while you're kind of looking for that remaining items that you need to finish the seed.
I 100% agree, and we are underway. So the uncle thought this was combo, which we're not going to be finding the space. We're not going to be finding the space jump in here anyway.
Yeah, no space jump, no morph ball, no super missiles, none of that. Just straight up Zelda 3 Link to the Past items here. Also get a map check. Looks like we have a pendant on Tower of Hera, a normal crystal in Eastern Palace, and a red crystal at Desert Palace.
Yeah, that red crystal a little more interesting here because of the fact that it's part of the 5-6 combo. What does the uncle have for us? Let's go ahead and find out. What do you think, Slim?
Let's go for bombs. It's the Fire Rod.
We're going to go with the Fire Rod, which is a very decent starting weapon. You know, you can charcoal your enemies to death here, and that's a nice drop right there, and we get ourselves the Power Glove.
Yeah, nice drop right there, a nice Power Glove to go along with it. Off to a pretty good start for both of our runners.
And, you know, getting that magic drop is not a huge thing. It's more of a didn't have to go and grab the two small jars, because your magic was going to be replenished to the full no matter what. As you can see by WeightyWords, he did not get that magic jar drop. But we do know that the green guards here will be dropping some magic here. So the question, does anybody in this escape sequence drop the bombs?
That is something you definitely want to see. As we know, there is a cracked wall near the end of the escape portion that contains 3 potential items. Obviously, you want to get those while you're going through the standard escape here, but if you don't, you might have to come back a bit later. Thankfully, we have the glove, so we can at least go the shortcut through the cemetery. But yeah, they're going to be looking for some drops, that's for sure.
Blue guards are also part of that magic drop here, so we're not going to get any bombs off those guys. So we've already seen the green guards and also the blue guards are in the same enemy drop pack as we make our way over towards the ball and chain guards. So it looks like the ropes and sword.
Well, that's good. We can we can kill more enemies along the way. Don't have to worry about running out of magic now.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely a relief.
So we're going to be taking a look to see what the ropes have and also what the rats have, because they're going to be your last hopes for picking up some bombs here during this sequence. Maybe we might find some in the next 2 chests.
That's true. That can also be a thing as well. As you can see, we're definitely killing more guards now. Now that we have a sword, don't need to worry about that magic meter any longer, so definitely good for that. Oh, well, there you go, like you said.
Hey! There we go. Zelda's cell is the bomb. So now we don't really have to worry about killing anything else. We got 50 rupees in our back pocket here. We just need to get 50 more rupees, which we're going to get in Kakariko Village to afford the bottle vendor. So there's really no extraneous reason to kill some guards, kill some rats, kill some ropes. So if your WeightyWords, your BigDunka, you're going to probably just head straight for that bomb wall now.
Yeah, pretty much. Treat this like you would a normal no major glitches run. Just, focus on execution, focus on getting yourself through this escape portion as quickly as possible. Maybe do some pumping here and there.
So do either of these runners get the sub 6 escape?
Probably not. You generally have to open like a couple of more chests in Randomizer than you would in No Major Glitches, so it's probably not likely, but they are making some pretty good time for Randomizer, that's for sure.
Yeah, 405 heading up the stairs. BigDunka got knocked back by the enemies. That's the kind of things that might come in the way towards a sub 6 escape, but it shouldn't be that difficult getting a sub 6 escape considering the fact that you had the fire rod, so you didn't have to sit there for 5-6 seconds trying to kill that ball and chain guard.
Yeah, that is definitely true. One thing that little stumble did for Dunka, though, it gave us a nice little sink right here. Unfortunately, though, the ropes have something to say about that, so now WeightyWords takes a 1-second lead, but still, both are very, very close right now.
What did we say about needing rupees for Kakariko Village? There's 20 in the back here in the Dark Cross, so don't really have to worry about the rupee situation now. We'll get the 30 in the back of Blind's house. That'll be your 100 that you need for the bottle vendor.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely looking pretty good to get that bottle vendor routed along the way.
BigDunka having to chase the rat down to the northwest corner of that room, and now WeightyWords coming in here to the back 3 of escape. We've yet to see the map. Might be in one of these 3. There it is.
And get some extra health there as well. An extra heart container and a piece of heart for later. And BigDunka right behind him, so yeah, both very, very good times through escape. I apologize for not having the confidence in them, because they definitely pulled it off.
Well, like I said, having the fire rod was definitely a big help towards them being able to, but also getting the bombs. Getting the bombs in Zelda's cell meant that they did not have to worry about trying to kill extra enemies. You think about it, a lot of the time that some runners lose towards the sub 6 escape are by killing a little too much on the way.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And I definitely remember, like, especially when we had the standard opening for one of our tournaments like a year ago. That's how I lost a lot of time, just trying to kill enemies for all those bomb drops that I never would get.
BigDunka chasing down a couple of arrow pickups, or at least one of them, and I will check the lumberjack. This is something Weighty did not opt to check, and it turns out just to be a piece of heart, so not necessary. As WeightyWords drops down, and we'll see what's here under the tree, and that is another piece of heart. So a couple of vanillas.
Yeah, 2 vanilla pieces of heart so far, and like just the last 5 seconds.
Naturally, when you have 24 pieces of heart, we don't know if it's the exact vanilla, but there's no way that this game tells you which piece of heart it is on the spoiler log, so we'll just call it vanilla and be done with it.
Yeah, definitely. The only heart that is unique in its own way is the Sanctuary heart container, which obviously that refills all your health when you grab that, but not regulated to pieces of heart whatsoever.
All right, so Kakariko Village, we have ourselves a fire rod, we have a gloves, and we have a sword. Nice items to have, but what's our next progression piece? That's going to be the question.
Well, inside Blind's house, we got 2 more pieces of heart. The Moon Pearl goes well with our Dark World items we're collecting. And a heart container, getting a lot of health very early in this seed, it seems like.
And there's our Dark World access.
Oh boy, this is going to get interesting. We have the option now. If we want to just go straight to Dark World, make all the gambles in the world, see if we can get something early in Dark World, we can make that choice.
And here's the thing is that with the current arsenal of items, we can beat Skull Woods. We can beat Thieves Town.
And they don't have like, blue mail or anything, but they have
Sword upgrade.
They have a master sword. They have enough health to, still survive, especially if they've, done a lot of these runs. They're both very experienced randomizer runners. They can probably handle it.
Sword upgrade.
Okay, now we have the tempered sword. This is I wish I had swords this early in my seeds.
I know. Where are these swords in any of our seeds? Here we go, Bottle Vendor, and Bottle Vendor has more health. So which one of these 2 runners immediately heads over to the Dark World after completing Kakariko Village? WeightyWords probably can be considering it. Another piece of heart. And just a reminder, this is 6-6.
That's right. We could have a very, very fast seed here.
And yeah, WeightyWords is heading straight for the Dark World at this point. Does not even check the library, doesn't check the race game, heading straight for the Dark World. I can't blame WeightyWords at this point. You've got everything you need to beat Mothula. You've got everything you need to make easy work of Thieves Town. You're going for volume. So too is BigDunka. We got ourselves a 10-minute Dark World. Let's go, Slim.
Yeah, let's go indeed. This is exciting. This is really, really exciting. And, Dunka had the option to also, if he wanted to, make that check over to the other Dark World portal. Maybe check out Hype Cave, see if he can grab something else. But no, much like WeightyWords, he knows who his opponent is. He knows he needs to make a play like this, so he's also going to be following him in his footsteps. What do we have for our Dark World map?
Thieves Town is Green Pendant, and Misery Mire is our remaining of the pendants in this game. So that may put a little less value to Thieves Town at this point in time. Have to question what they're going to do. The other 5-6 crystal is Swamp.
Well, one thing for sure, WeightyWords is going to follow that crystal over in Skull Woods. He's going to go there first. Take care of this. It makes sense. It's a crystal. You're in the area. May as well get it done now. So yeah, he's going to do that. Probably pick up the 2 items here along the way. And it looks like Dunka is doing the same thing.
Yeah, this seed is really pushing him into Skull Woods. Whether or not it is for completion or for an item inside, we do not know. Find 20 rupees is the first of 2 items inside, and good decision here by WeightyWords, filling up on his magic. Going to need at least some of that for the treachery that's ahead by way of the torches he's got to light.
Yeah, and BigDunka has the same exact idea, following right in his footsteps, only a few rooms behind. Both these runners have the same mind right now, it seems like.
Yep, so BigDunka ends up getting grabbed here, so he'll go right back to the start and grab his key. BigDunka making his way over there. WeightyWords going inside the final part of Skull Woods. We could have ourselves a sub-13 first crystal.
I would say I'm shocked because I can never, get that kind of result in my seeds. But you look at these 2 names, WeightyWords, we have the SG Live champion of Link to the Past Randomizer, and we have BigDunka, someone who's been playing in pretty much every tournament since at least fall 2017. So both very experienced, both very skillful. Their names you've definitely seen in these tournaments and a lot on all the dailies and weekly races. you know, they know what they're doing. They know how to play. They know how to really get things done in these seeds.
And the other thing here is we get ready for Mothula here for weighty words, and if he can get him away from the spike area, try to use the fire rod shot in order to get him away from the spikes. It took him a little while before he finally was able to do so, but that is a beautiful kill, all things considering, for Weighty. Tackles him down, picks up the map, but most importantly gets the first crystal of this seed.
And as he's doing that, BigDunka jumps into the fight for his round against Mothula. Doesn't have very much magic to work with, but thankfully, Tempered Sword shouldn't make this too badly. Does have to be very careful of taking damage, though. Getting some of those shots in here. Just shouldn't have too much longer to go.
I think he's got one more hit against Mothula down. There we go.
Yep, nicely done on his part, too.
And that's where having the experience of these two runners really come into play. They did not take a whole lot of damage. We get the Cane of Samaria. So that was Fire Rod blocked.
Okay, well, I mean, at this point, like, you know, if we find that Ice Rod somewhere, I mean, Turtle Rock, I mean, once we have all the items, that would be a good last crystal to do. We do have to still do Ganon's Tower at this point, so, yeah, we'll have to definitely want to make that our last crystal, assuming we can find that Ice Rod anyway.
So, at this stage, what would you consider the dungeon that these two are going to skip?
I'd say at this point, the big ones, at least at this point, I'd say, I mean, at this point, you're gonna need Bow for something, since both Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness are crystals. Probably either Swamp or Turtle Rock at this point.
It's an interesting choice, and it depends on where the items turn out to be. As we see BigDunka heading to do the South Shore stuff, as WeityWords is going to be checking the village of Outcasts. So we've got our first official routing divergence in this seed.
I feel like BigDunka's kind of going more for like item numbers here. Because WeityWords has these 3 quick checks in the Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town, which is a pendant. Meanwhile, BigDunka has, you know, all of South Shore. There's Eastern Palace he could check. There's some other places he can go around the Light World to get still. Probably going for density at this point. Might find there's a little more kind of in this area than in the Dark World right now.
And the other thing is that BigDunka may decide after he's done doing the South Shore stuff that he might check Hype Cave, which is another high volume item location.
Yeah, he is in the area where he can do that. I mean, both Mini Moldorm Cave and Hype Cave are in the same general area, just in 2 different worlds. So, not a bad check to kind of combine with, you know, just 2 very big checks.
So WeityWords is popping into Thieves Town. Now, this has the extra weight of being the green pendant. How much do you think that comes into play for both of these runners and their decision making?
I think it definitely plays big. I mean, you gotta think about, you're gonna be in the Eastern area at some point in the seed, whether it's for Pod, Eastern, and, you know, there's still those 3 Sphere 1 checks there. Just giving another...
Flip!
Yeah, Flippers in Thieves Town. But yeah, it just gives another item to check while you're in the area. So definitely understandable play to check this and get that green pendant now.
So WeityWords here is maybe considering how many items that he finds in this first 4. We now know that it's guaranteed that the minimum is 2. Make it 1 item because the last chest is going to have the big key.
It was a pretty big item that he found.
And it's a required item.
Very much so.
And maybe it's because of the fact he only pulled out 1 item in the first 4 why he's continuing on here. Like, you know, maybe if he got 2 items, he would consider maybe leaving here. Maybe 3 would definitely be a no at this point. But you only got 1 item out of here.
Yeah, 1 item is not really enough to go off of. We still have 3 in the back. It's probably worth going a little bit further to see if you can find something else. And at the very least, take blind to the boss space at that point.
So for those just tuning in here at the 17.5-minute mark, this is a standard 6-6 defeat Ganon mode here in game number 3 of this best of 3 series between WeightyWords and BigDunka. We started off with the fire rod from the uncle, and we've gotten a whole wealth of items so far. Flipper's the last item we've seen that is of major importance. What does BigDunka get inside of Head Cave? Well, he does get some mail upgrade, and he does get the powder.
That powder can be used right now to get another item. We have the hammer, and we can access magic bat, so something BigDunka can check when he's kind of in the village area again.
So BigDunka's going to elect to head on over towards the pyramid area. I don't know if he's going to elect to go into the Palace of Darkness just yet, but he definitely wants to get some information over what is on the pyramid. That is exactly where he's heading. He's not going to go into the Palace of Darkness just yet.
It is, definitely something to consider. There are a lot of items in there, and with bows being progressive right now in this stage in the logic, not a terrible idea either. You could always logic break your way through pod and maybe find another bow that's hidden behind the first bow requirement.
Yeah, we've seen that happen before here in this tournament. The hook shot is in. Oh boy, in Thieves Town. So and that's 2 required items.
Definitely, and I bet WeightyWords is very happy to find that hook shot as well, especially considering what happened in game 2. Kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but hook shot was in Escape. It unfortunately was missed by WeightyWords, but again, not a problem. Swamps a crystal. It's 6-6 crystals. Don't need it, right? Well, WeightyWords decides to go to Hookshot Cave. Does some hovering to get 2 of the items beyond that Boots lock chest. Doesn't get the 3rd one, which just so happened to be the Ice Rod, which was another Turtle Rock crystal. So, because Dunka found the hookshot early, he was able to skip that Ice Rod and was able to get victory before WeightyWords and bring this to game 3.
And maybe that's why we elected to go standard mode, because then in that case, Titan Spits on Catfish.
Ooh, that's a location for that.
But he's gonna have to be careful. There he goes. Got him off script, had to avoid the heads, because he got hit by the heads. That would mean a death there for WeightyWords. Picks up the green pendant, but the hookshot and the flippers, 2 required items picked up there for WeightyWords inside of this Thieves Town, and maybe a 5th item when we get to Sahasrahla. If we find the mirror in this chain, I would seriously consider heading on over towards Swamp Palace.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of our crystals. We can fully complete it. There's a lot of items in there. It's a very good and strong check to make at that point.
Race Game has our first bottle, by the way.
Well, that's something we can bring over to the sick kid, that's for sure.
And it's interesting that we didn't get a check of the race game before this, but, when you get Dark World access at 10 minutes in, you might as well follow that chain, especially when you can beat Skull Woods. And we get ourselves another deep digging game. Are we going to go all the way to 30? Finding some rupees, getting some items, some magic, but where's the item? It's the Bloomerang.
Man, that had to have been, at least, on the edge of those 30 digs there.
Next question is will the boots be required? And the answer is not for those.
Yeah, not for those. Could come into play for desert still, but definitely not for those.
Weighty's going to be checking Stumpy. Stumpy's got 10 arrows. BigDunka is checking the sick kid. What does the sick kid have for that bottle in return?
10 arrows as well. So now Dunka's... He did not check Magic Bat, did he?
Not yet. He may be trying to lump that together with other checks, like when he does the Smith chain, especially now that he's got the Titans.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's probably what he's going to do then. Looks like he is following those myths, and I mean, when you find the myths where they were, you definitely want to consider that could be a huge advantage with just how easy it is to leave Catfish alone. It's just this one solitary check.
So Weighty's going to pick up his his magic powder, his blue mail as well, and get a chest turn in there as well.
How dare you get a chest turn?
BigDunka is in Thieves Town. Now the question is, does he go beyond the flippers? Now you almost would have to assume the answer is going to be yes, based on the fact that it was only a one item front four.
You also have to consider that, you know, your opponent is WeightyWords, someone who you know is, it's a really important decision you're making here. You'd be gambling a lot to leave, but you could also be thinking you'd be, you know, making a good play if you leave early.
So the answer to the question coming up in just a second. He will pick up the big key and he will be continuing on. And yep, not taking it dead, so therefore he is continuing on. So BigDunka, and like I said, this is kind of one of those situations where maybe if this was not as light of a front four, maybe you might make that gamble given the situation. As WeightyWords is about to pick up the mid, so we're going to be even on the items soon.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, BigDunka has to go through Thieves Town here, so I'd still say WeightyWords a little bit further ahead right now, just in terms of just general progression, but still, I mean, you got to think they both pretty much made the same plays, just opposite of each other, so they'll pretty much be where they started this divergence at.
And so obviously the difference right now is the fact that BigDunka already had to double back to this village. So a lot of this time that you're seeing that Weighty now has on BigDunka is that walk back. If BigDunka had just went over to Thieves Town on the first trip in, but you never know what's going to end up happening. And don't forget, we still have to check the South Shore for WeightyWords.
Oh, that's
so
true, yeah.
It's not really a WeightyWords got a 5-minute advantage already.
Yeah, it's definitely not. Like, there's still stuff that can still be, you know, slight little differences here and there. It also kind of depends on what Weighty decides to do after this check as well. If he goes in a different location and Dunka goes to some new progression, that could be interesting.
That was an unfortunate oops there for Weighty as he tried to get the item here in the dam while he had hookshot onto it, but unfortunately he had already walked off the block, so he's going to have to do this a second time. Not a huge oops there for Weighty. It's just one of those ones that it's just going to cost him a few seconds, but you go back to what happened in game number 1. That was a 3-second difference. What if that was the difference between a tie and a win?
Yeah, when you look at a game like Game 1 was, which only had a 3-second difference, you really start to analyze like all the little things, and pretty much like you said, that little difference right there of having to, you know, leave the dam again to go back in and get it, that's about 3 seconds. So that, like, all that stuff can add up.
And that's one of the things that people sometimes have a hard time thinking of when they're looking at a run as a whole. I mean, this thing is going to be about 90 minutes on average. And okay, sometimes it's hard to nitpick things like that, but sometimes those seconds do add up over the course. Now, speaking of WeightyWords, he's not going to check, maybe he's not going to check it, but he's going to make his way over towards the hobo area because he's got the flippers going in here.
He has the flippers, and he has over 500 rupees, so yep, looks like this is going to be a hobo check, maybe into Zora right after, so following that flipper logic.
BigDunka is finished off with the blind, a little bit of a cleaner fight against Blind than what we saw from WeightyWords, and or even once again, as far as what we've pulled out of dungeons, WeightyWords finds a piece of Hard on Hobo.
So yeah, I'm really curious to see what Dunka is going to do at this point, because this next play from him could actually be a pretty huge difference in how the rest of the seed plays out.
Yeah, because he does have the mitts. He can at least begin the breadsmith chain. Now, we don't know, obviously, if the mirror is going to be anywhere convenient where these two runners could lump it together a lot easier than having to do a save and quit, but sometimes the logic does work out that you have to do the breadsmith chain separate like that.
Yeah, that's right. You could have the mirror on the blacksmith, or you could even have it on purple chest. So Rando is pretty silly like that. It can force you to do some very inconvenient things, but as long as it works with the logic, it doesn't really care. As long as it can be done.
And so we see BigDunka heading on over towards the digging game. We'll go ahead and take several digs to find out what the item's going to be. As WeightyWords gets ready to transport his way over towards the Zora area, still 4 items still to find. It is 6-6 standard. How about some more life?
Sounds good. I mean, it's not like these runners have gotten a lot of that already. And I counted, that was 29 digs on the dig game, so not quite 30, but pretty dang close.
And so we have a heart container over on the Zora ledge. That one will not be collected by our runners at this stage. Now we've got ourselves the potential of a scam incoming. What is Zora going to give us for 500 rupees?
And probably like Cane of Burner or something.
He'll just give him the red mail. Well, it was red.
Okay, so looking like BigDunka is heading to the eastern area. WeightyWords did not really find anything of notes through the Zora area. So if the next progression that we're looking for is in the Eastern Palace area, this could be a slight advantage for Dunka here. But it looks like WeightyWords possibly considering to go up the mountain, which does make sense. He does have the hook shot. It's a very easy dark room to get through to get there. So a lot of items are available to him on the east side of Death Mountain.
So, unfortunately, the green pendant turns out to be just another 20 rupees. And the back 3 of Sahasrara also yielding absolutely nothing. And so, logically, with the flippers and the hook shot, you know what's starting to show up in the guesses that people are saying in chat and also in the back of my brain? Ice Palace at 31 minutes.
Yeah, I see a couple of people smirking with that possibility of something being an Ice Palace, and yeah, that very well could be a thing. We have Hookshot, as you said. We have all the tools to enter Ice Palace. We have the hammer. We can finish it. We have Samari to make some things easier in the dungeon as well. So yeah, that would honestly be a pretty strong play at this point, I think.
But instead, these two runners are going to go to the wealth of the mountain that is here, as opposed to the 3 items that exist inside of Ice Palace. WeightyWords now up on top of the mountain. We're going to see what's on Spectacle Rock, and hi there! Ooh. So we are going to find the lamp somewhere, but not up here on the mountain.
I wonder at this point if the lamp is just... I mean, it could be in the Ice Palace like we were talking about, or it could be an Eastern Palace early. There are some locations for that lamp to be.
Yeah, but that list of locations is now a lot fewer than they were about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the interesting thing about that flute is Mystery Mire is a pendant, so our runners are going to keep that in mind, but they're going to also be thinking, well, if we can skip that flute, we may as well try to.
Yeah, and maybe you might make desert as the dungeon that you skip in this 6-6 game.
Yeah, that's very true. That could be a thing. Of course, though, while you're still missing the ice rod, if you can happen to find that book, I still think you probably will want to consider clearing out desert, just with how short it is.
Unless it turns out that the key is on the torch and what you need the boots for.
Oh yeah, of course. But...
Bow! Bombos!
Close. Cape.
Magic cape, and there's the red mail.
mail.
So that is a very decent 5 right there.
I mean, yeah, with that bow, we can clear Eastern Palace and Pod. That's 2 more crystals. Not logically, because no lamp, but still, that's still 2 crystals. And, that Bombos could end up being our Turtle Rock entry as well. So definitely some really interesting items we found here.
There's the boots! Oh!
Oh, that mirror is going to be interesting wherever the heck it is.
Is in the Tower of Hera.
Well, that's where WeightyWords is going to go. It's a pendant, but there's still 2 items. You can generally get them pretty quick, so I imagine it's going to be a good play here.
It is a pendant, so that reduces a little bit of the pull that this dungeon has, but we'll see whether or not Weighty decides to clean it out. Because we know after Weighty's done doing this, his next stop is to the Dark World.
Yeah, definitely.
And so WeityWords going to be setting up for what we call the Hera pot. There's been like 30 different ways you can set yourself up for this thing, and it looks like Weighty's got setup number 82 here.
Wow, 82. That's probably my favorite version of it too, actually.
Pretty solid setup right there.
Yeah, just gotta know the positioning, just kind of work your way up to it, and then, yeah, just perform it like that.
You also gotta scream when you get the map and compass in this dungeon.
Yeah, that's not what you generally want to see.
That doesn't guarantee anything just yet. Actually, no, that does guarantee that there is an item in the big chest.
Yeah, it does, exactly. What I find interesting is Dunka's actually not going to proceed in Tower of Hera.
Single arrow! Oh!
The best arrow.
Not what you want to see drop from Moldorm.
But why? It's a unique item.
It is, but that's not what you want to see. If you're WeightyWords, you wanted to see him drop the mirror so you can pick up those boots right now.
But it's so unique. Like, I don't see how you can deny it.
Well, Slim, you're unique, but...
Well, thank you. You're unique too, Rick.
Getting back to the race, we went through Spiral Cave and then walking just to find 20 rupees inside, so BigDunka is going to be heading into the Dark World to see what exists inside now.
And this is interesting because this will give Dunka a bit of a head start working into this part. So he can't really say he has the lead just because we know WeightyWords has checked some other things that he hasn't, but still, if this is where the progression is, Dunka's going to kind of shift the game over in his favor a little bit.
And the neat thing is...
What is that?
We know that the mirror can't be on the pedestal.
Yep, that is true.
And Bombos is required to get into Turtle Rock. Now, if the Ice Rod turns out to be in the 6 checks that WeightyWord is about to check, BigDunka may have just taken an advantage because Weighty's not going to be able to get into Turtle Rock without having to do a save and quit.
Yeah, that is very true. Really interested to see how this is going to play out here. Even if they find the mirror, like, WeightyWords will have to, like, you know, mirror at the top, open the stone, open the portal, and then also open TR. Dunka's already opened it.
So Weighty's about to find out that it is indeed Bombos to get yourself into Turtle Rock this time around, and we're going to have a nearly synchronized check of Hookshot Cave.
Ice Rod was here in Game 2 for both these guys. Let's see if it's in here as well for Game 3. Nope.
Not this time. Now, if you're BigDunka, do you go inside? And BigDunka, is he thinking about it? It looks like BigDunka is going to go into Turtle Rock.
Oh boy, this could be the play of the game right here if there is something valuable in this dungeon.
So BigDunka with the Fire Rod, with the Cane of Samaria in his possession. Let's see what we have inside. 5 items, as WeightyWords is about to check the back 3 of Sahash will also trade in the green pendant, which we saw was only 20 rupees.
You got a small key in the first chest of Turtle Rock, so nothing yet. But I find that a lot of Turtle Rock dives are pretty key heavy at the very beginning anyway. We start getting the good stuff when we start approaching Laser Bridge.
And I'll tell you what, if BigDunka does not find the Ice Rod, do you know what the best thing to find in here would be?
Mirror, probably.
100% mirror.
Oh, definitely. Like, that's going to give him, obviously, swamp clearage. There's also that flute that we know, which we don't need Mire, but that will allow us to check out Desert Palace. We can get the boots with the mirror as well. So, yeah, that would give a lot of options for Dunka right now. A lot of stuff is being blocked by that mirror.
As WeightyWords heads into Eastern Palace, 3 items inside, BigDunka finds a bee in a bottle to be the first of the 5 items inside of this Turtle Rock.
Well, that's not a progressive item, but it is a pretty useful tool of destruction for enemies, so...
And we've already seen one bottle before for BigDunka. It was at the race game, and it did not yield anything. It just yielded 10 arrows. As BigDunka is going to get a key here. Now, will he check the lava chest or the big key chest?
I feel like you should at this point if you're still looking for items. You know, we're still obviously looking for Mirror and Ice Rod, I think, are the big ones you want to kind of keep an eye out for, because those will actually block crystals coming up here. But yeah, I still think that you check that. It's not too long.
Actually, that mirror, by the way, Slim.
What's up?
That'd be go mode.
Yeah, it would actually. That would be go mode, because yeah, we'd get the boots, which that would take care of desert. We obviously have the bow for both Eastern and Pod. We'd have swamp. Yeah, that would be go mode, definitely.
Well, there's a Cane of Samaria, or rather, Cane of Burna, right there in the lava chest.
That's the wrong blue rod we're looking for.
And nothing inside Eastern. 2-3 packs of bombs and 10 arrows, as WeightyWords will now head to the back. And good decision here by Weighty to light up the torches here. We've seen it come into play here where you could lose control of this room and have it come back to hurt you. Although at 10, or rather 11 hearts in your arsenal, probably wouldn't come back to hurt you as much as it possibly could. Yeah,
11 hearts, red mail, you have tempered sword, so even just like slashing at things, you'll get that Igor at some point.
I love the fact that he fired an arrow and swung the sword at the same time and got both of those staffos.
Link's just really good at using his tools.
And these are the kind of skills that you will notice that top runners are able to pull off. Quick execution moves like that. As we finish off Easter and get the crystal that falls from the sky, that will be 2 crystals for WeightyWords.
And meanwhile, on BigDunka's side, we're getting ready to head to Laser Bridge. We got 4 checks to make on there. If we don't get the Ice Rod, we can't finish this dungeon, but remember, this is 6 crystals. We may not have to finish this dungeon. Even if we get the mirror up here, that's going to be way more important, I'd say, than any Ice Rod, because we can just skip Turtle Rock at that point.
This is a huge gamble here for BigDunka, as WeightyWords is completing off some dungeons that you can beat by way of that bow. So BigDunka probably hoping now more than ever to get something out of here. We get ourselves 10 arrows. We know there's going to be a key in one of these chests. Map. Oh no, one more item. There's the key.
Thankfully, we have that red mouse, so we can't get, like, super crystal or laser damaged here.
Well, that was laser damage right there.
Yeah, but it's even worse on green mail, or if you get hit by the laser and fall in the pit, that's a lot of damage. Okay, he does need to be careful now, though. May want to consider the safety door, just in case.
Yeah, out comes the bombs. That beetle is definitely working hard.
Yeah, he wants that pay raise from Ganon, like, very badly.
WeightyWords is inside the Palace of Darkness. This is a dungeon where having the mirror definitely would help out. Final item in Turtle Rock. We're going to have to wait to find out what it is.
Man, if that's the mirror Ice Rod, this is going to be, like, the most suspenseful last check on Laser Bridge ever.
That laser is doing its job, tossing Link into the pit.
You got it?
Bombs. No, nothing good inside of this Turtle Rock. So BigDunka is going to leave the mountain a little dejected at this stage, as WeightyWords is now inside the Palace of Darkness. 5 items inside. We know that this is definitely bow blocked. So what are we going to find on the other side?
I feel like at this point, like, we need to get that lamp at some point. That lamp is still, like, blocking a lot of the items that we currently have right now, like the bow. So I'm really curious where that lamp's going to be. I feel like it's got to be here in Palace of Darkness.
You know, at this point, it pretty much has to be, or the item that leads to it by way of the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Although it could still be in the big chest of Tower of Hera.
Yeah, that's true. Both runners did opt to skip that.
Could also be at Agina.
Have we really not? Yeah. I guess we haven't. No, we've not seen Agina yet.
BigDunka checking the stuff that WeightyWords has already checked, so WeightyWords, we're keeping a focus on you right now. As you go through the Palace of Darkness, find out what's inside of the vanilla big chest, and it turns out to just be a compass, so we know down here where the staff is going to be a key. Slim Ice Palace is still on the table.
That's true. Ice Palace is still on there. And I find with a lot of these version 31 and even version 30 seeds, going back a version, if they give you all the items you need to access Ice Palace, there's going to be something there, I feel like. I know that's just kind of, superstition, but still. You got to think about all those old versions where people did not want to dip Ice Palace, and then whenever you had a race where there was something there and you decided to gamble that, you always felt good. But now these days, it's like, it seems like everyone wants to go to Ice Palace.
I still don't want to go to Ice Palace.
But how will you win the race if you don't go to Ice Palace?
Well, you see, that's the reason why I'm in the Challenge Cup.
Well, there you go. You've learned something today.
There is the hammer up there for Weighty Words as he gets a piece of heart inside and now disappears into the darkness.
It does look like he's kind of stuck a little bit there. I think he just finally found his way through this.
Yeah, I think he found himself all the way at the very far left, and he doesn't want to be in the very far left. He wants to find out what's inside that chest. A little uncharacteristic here for a runner of Weighty Words' stature. Nice room here for BigDunka getting ready to face off against the Armos Knights.
It is really annoying, though, whenever you do get hit in this dark room, because sometimes it does kind of pan the camera in a weird way, so you can be, like, in a much different place than you think you should be. So it can definitely be really obnoxious whenever you get hit by something in here.
Shout outs to the map that you cannot see.
If you can't see it, how can you read it?
Exactly. We got ourselves another key. So we see a key downstairs here in the basement. There's going to be an item inside of Harmless Hellway. As Weighty Words going down here. There's the lamp. It's in the dark room. Yeah,
that is something. If you are not used to version 31 logic, that might come as a surprise to you. In version 31, lamps can be in dark rooms as long as you can actually light torches in the room with the treasure chest. So that is a possible place for the lamp to be. I was actually kind of hoping it would be there just so we could, give you that little bit of trivia.
That's the first time we've seen that here. And I don't know if that's the first time we've seen that in the tournament. Now we get to the merry-go-round. And Weighty Words is able to take care of it with the Cane of Samaria. BigDunka's heading here to the Palace of Darkness as well. But why do we need to go to the Palace of Darkness? So far, all we've seen is that lamp. There's been nothing else as far as major progression is concerned.
Yeah, so far the Eastern Palace, Palace of Darkness area, it's not the cool place to be. You want to be where the real cool place is to be. Ice Palace.
Yeah, I think Ice Palace might be the answer to this. That might be where the mirror turns out to be. And just as a reminder that the mirror is our go mode at this point.
Pretty much. I mean, we do not need the Ice Rod really to finish Turtle Rock. I mean, it's there if we happen to find both at the same time, and Dunka thinks that for some reason that might be faster to finish up there. But even then, it's such a long way to go back all the way through Turtle Rock again, and I think he probably would want to make that play.
And by the way, chat is pointing this out, and shout out to the several of you that are watching here on Speed Gaming 4 Live, and those of you who are watching us on the VODs afterwards. But chat bringing up a very good point. That lamp is bow blocked, and the first bow we saw was lamp blocked.
Oh man, so there's another bow out there. Maybe Agina's cave? Or maybe Ice Palace still. Maybe Ice Palace just has all the answers today.
Ice Palace very well could have the first bow that gets us inside of Palace of Darkness. 50 rupees on the Helmsar King, and that is it for Weighty Words. He has now completed his third crystal. And for those of you just tuning in here at the 52-minute mark, just a reminder, we are doing 6-6 Defeat Ganon standard mode. So these runners get to skip one of the crystals.
Yeah, unfortunately for this seed, it's looking like I think Turtle Rock's going to be the unanimous. Let's not clear this one that they decide to choose. But for other seeds, that could come into play in a lot of different ways. You can kind of metagame what crystals you think your opponent might go for. If you think you got an out of the way their item that could defeat another crystal, you might want to aim for that. Being able to pick and choose what crystals you want to clear really does kind of bring an interesting strategy to the mix.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who are not used to this tournament format, this is game number 3, and the way it works out is we start with open 7-7 mode for these runners to begin game number 1. The loser of the match, they have 5 different options that they can choose to pull a lever, if you will, and they can go ahead and choose to do like standard versus open, 6-6 versus 7-7, fast versus defeat Ganon, or standard versus open. I think I've already said that one. Or they can do a standard item pool versus maps and compasses. And that's come to quite a few odd races that we've seen throughout this entire tournament so far.
Yeah, I feel like, at least in terms of what I've noticed, this is the first standard 6-6 I've seen, so personally. So yeah, this has been interesting.
And the reason why the mirror is go mode is because we know the boots are up on Floating Island. We know the flute is up on Spectacle Rock. And by result of that, once we get the boots, once we get the mirror, we can get the boots, and we can get the flute, so we're guaranteed to beat Desert.
And that'll also give us our Swamp completion as well, so that'll take care of Swamp on the table. Which would leave one, well, it would leave 2. It would leave Ice Palace and Turtle Rock, but we can already finish Ice Palace right now, so as a result, it's looking like Turtle Rock is going to be the undisputed, let's skip this crystal. Unless they happen to find Ice Rod before they find Mirror, and they just run out of locations, and maybe the Mirror's on Trinex or something.
You know something we haven't checked yet, Slim?
Agina's Cave?
This one right here.
Oh yeah, Magic Bat. We actually had access to this pretty early.
There's our logical first bow. That's silver for Weighty.
And that could come into play right there. If they happen to finish close, that's going to be a pretty big, significant Ganon advantage for Weighty right now.
And so BigDunka taking the death right there because he doesn't have the mirror. We'll go right back to the start, finish off this dungeon. Weighty now is going to be heading in the direction of Ice Palace. Now, don't forget, Weighty ended up doing Hera Pot and skipped himself out of getting the big key, which is Fire Block downstairs. We know there's an item in the Hera Big Chest.
We also know there's an item in Spike Cave that could also potentially be something as well.
But now we get ourselves to Ice Palace, and this is where you and I have been clamoring for these runners to go for a little while. Is it going to be amongst the 3 items we see inside of this dungeon?
It very well could be. We've honestly had like the progression to enter and full clear this place for a bit. I want to say they've had it since they were on top of the mountain. I think that's where they found Bombos, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was in Paradox.
So yeah, this has been a pretty available location for them for a while. Or actually, I guess the Fire Rod would have gotten him in here, not Bombos. Yeah. But it's been here on the table for a good bit now.
It's been on the table since we went through the Thieves Town. Found the flippers in there. Found the hookshot in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And by the way, Weighty ended up checking the race game and then making his way over to the sick kid after doing so. So this is allowing things to look a little closer. Now, he does obviously have the silver arrows in his arsenal. That will come into play if BigDunka does not go back and check to see what we have over at the excuse me, the magic bat.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we also got the Titan's Mitt off Catfish, which means the Breadsmith chain has been in Logic for the longest time. We haven't seen either runner touch one of those items either. So, you know, there's a lot of other places where things can be that we haven't explored just yet.
Yeah, again, it will be interesting to see how Dunka progresses from here, because you know, I'm almost wondering if he's thinking like, well, I've had all these items for a while. Maybe Weighty's already been in Ice Palace, or he's in it right now. Maybe I should focus on Overworld because he might have a significant advantage on me right now. But it does look like he is heading towards the South Shore, Lake Hylia, so this is probably going to be the Ice Palace play from him as well.
Yeah, but first he's going to be checking a few things that we saw from WeightyWords earlier, like the hobo, as well as some of the Zora area checks. As Weighty goes and we find ourselves a small key inside of that chest, so Weighty presses on. And that's not a bad check if you're Weighty, because you're one item away from go mode at this point. And nice attempt there by Weighty to try to get this anti-fairy powdered into a real fairy, but was a little off because of the hammer block.
Okay, so I think we've only seen one item in Ice Palace so far, or...
I don't know if we've even seen one. There's the
there
mirror!
it is! That is just what Weighty is looking for. All he has to do now is finish this dungeon, go back to Death Mountain, get his flute and boots for full assured go mode at that point.
And BigDunka gets a bee in the bottle from the fairy. And that's not what you want to see when you're about ready to go into Ice Palace. So we now know that BigDunka has to go into Ice Palace. Weighty is going to have a lead at this point, and really the big difference is the fact that BigDunka explored Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and again, I understand why he did it. You know, we had all the items to get all the way to Laser Bridge. There's a lot of volume in there. He knows his opponent is WeightyWords, an SG Live champion, and just a very skilled randomizer runner. I feel like he kind of was in a position where he felt like he needed to make that play, so I can definitely understand it.
And Weighty, recognizing the fact that he doesn't have full magic, pulls out the bombos for this cold stare fight.
It's also nice because you just have to use it once and you're already in this second phase, and then just need a couple of good
swing and a miss.
Fortunately, does not get the quick kill.
Nice triple hit there.
But, oh wow, pulling it.
Those are
back
some nice hits. May not have been the best cold stare fight you'll ever see, but what a recovery there for WeightyWords based on missing the first swing, getting a double hit and a triple hit off that fire rod.
Yeah, he's WeightyWords, but that was some weighty splash damage right there.
For sure. So BigDunka here now inside of Ice Palace, but we know that WeightyWords is heading back up to the mountain. He's going to pick up the flute. He's going to go pick up the boots, and then he will be officially in
go mode. So yeah, at this point, as we said before, this is 6-6 crystals defeat Ganon. He's not going to be even thinking about Turtle Rock. He's going to just use Desert and Swamp for his remaining 2 crystals. I imagine Dunka's going to do the same. It is a shame he did dip Turtle Rock early looking for that mirror, but it is what it is. It's Randomizer. And you know, and you got to think that in a lot of other seeds that would end up being the play. So again, I do not fault him one bit for making that choice.
Absolutely. I mean, for all he knows, the mirror could have very well been there, and if it turned out to be there, that would have been a huge advantage here for BigDunka, but it turned out not to be the case. So Weighty's about to go back into the Dark World. That's where he's going to pick up his boots, and then the next stop is activate the duck, go to desert, finish that off, and then go to swamp, and you're going to go mode swamp with those silvers in your hand.
Mm-hmm. And to answer a quick question in the chat, it is still defeat Ganon, which means we will have to make the Ganon's Tower climb still. They did have the option to switch to Fast Ganon, but WeightyWords instead decides to use his toggle on making it standard mode as opposed to open mode. So we had the standard mode escape sequence at the very beginning. So yeah, BigDunka going back to the basement here, basement number 4, to work his way around. Has to go through a few more rooms to get to that mirror, but he will be kind of in that no mode state very, very shortly.
And just to point this out here, as far as the seed is concerned, the winner of their match, the winner of this match, they move on to the round of 64. They qualify their spot into brackets as the winner of Group M. The loser of this match, they're not done with this tournament. They go drop down and into the tiebreak, where they'll be facing off against the winner of Bombchu Missile or Catabat. And BigDunka has had some experience against Catabat, played him in the first round.
Yeah, that is correct. That was Dunka's first round matchup. He had to get to this point and actually went 2-0. So gotta think that he'd feel, you know, at least kind of comfortable. He knows that he has the capability of beating Catabat. Not sure of any past experiences with Bombchu, but you know, everyone in this tournament, they've got here for a reason. It was a very, very strong competitive pool of 128. So, you know, it may seem like Dunka will have the advantage going into either of those matchups, but still needs to put up a strong performance because everyone is out to win this tournament.
Yeah, and this was a very difficult tournament to qualify into the group of one, or the top 128 that made it into the groups. So, you know that you're going to have a really tough opponent ahead. You might have some advantages over certain other people because of their play styles and whatnot, but there are some genuinely good runners, and we do see that we needed to have the boots for this desert. So there's a big reason right there why we had to get the boots first.
Yeah, definitely. And even then, I mean, just general speed. Speed will also help a tremendous amount in Swamp Palace. A lot of long, watery hallways you can dash through very quickly with the boots. So it's good to have just for that reason as well.
Absolutely. Really solid kill against the cold stare for BigDunka. And so Weighty's going to be picking up the big key to this desert real fast in the vanilla location. And we'll be mirroring back out and heading over towards the Lammo fight. And then we'll head into Swamp Palace. BigDunka, now done with Ice Palace, going to head up the mountain, claim his 2 items.
And you have to think about this right now. You know, WeightyWords he got the mirror well before the 1 hour, well, not well before, but just before the 1 hour mark. He knew where the rest of the items were, so he's kind of been in this mindset of, okay, we're just going to go to the end of the seed now. Like, before the 1 hour mark, this is going to be a very, very fast seed. Definitely 6-6 helps with that, but even with that, considering this is going to be a really, really fast seed.
Absolutely, and this is a kind of a case here where Weighty just made the right decision. BigDunka went for a gamble in Turtle Rock, and as you mentioned before, there's nothing faulting that gamble. Just turned out that the item needed to get into go mode was in a crystal dungeon that you needed to beat, as opposed to a dungeon that you couldn't beat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at Thieves Town. That's a pendant dungeon with only with less checks than Turtle Rock, and we found 2 required items in there.
And BigDunka is going to get dead rocked on his way to trying to get to the boots. So he's going to just scroll them off the screen and try again, but this dead rock is playing great defense.
Very, very good defense. The purple dead rocks, when they're stunned, they actually kind of look like Ultros, which is BigDunka's sprite a little bit too.
So BigDunka about to go pick up the boots as WeightyWords making his way into Swamp Palace.
The best dungeon, in my opinion, to go through in Go mode. I don't have to do very much. Still have to push a couple of water switches here and there, but once you have everything you need, it's a very, very quick swim through the dungeon.
I think runners like this and Ice Palace as their 2 major go-to dungeons when it's Go mode.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ice Palace as well. Unfortunately, didn't really have the option to do that in this seed for Ice Palace just because of the mirror and its location, but still another dungeon you really, really want to go through very quickly.
And you notice BigDunka was able to do partial Go mode in regards to Ice Palace because once he found the mirror, that was it. It's go time. And unfortunately for BigDunka, he's now in Go mode. And you can see what the problem is. Take a look at the top left of the screen. That is a bow with wooden arrows. He is never going to get the silver arrow.
Yeah, that's true. The other arrow, or the other bow rather, ended up being our logical first bow, but because we like to break the logic here in these races, the other arrow upgrade, or the bow upgrade, is on Magic Bat, which Dunka just didn't really have the means to route in. He had one chance, but decided to combo it later with the dwarf blacksmith, so decided to save it for later, and never got the silver as a result.
So Weighty is heading here through the Swamp Palace, about to go up against Argus. Get to see some sick tricks coming into play here for WeityWords as he makes his way through here. BigDunka is about to find out that he did indeed need to get the boots before coming into this desert palace. Get the small key off the torch. So WeityWords coming into this here. He's going to head into brackets with a 4-1 record.
Unfortunately, that won't be the highest. I think we've had a couple of people make it in with a 4-0, but still, not a bad performance.
And for those who don't really know what the breakdown is for the upcoming seeding for brackets, your win-loss record is going to come into play. So those with a 4-0 record are going to be the top of the seeds. And here we go. Look at this go. Well, we had a very good start here, and now we're going to just pull off more of these. What a beautiful phase 1.
Yeah, even after getting hit there, still managed to take him down. 1 silver to take Argus down completely. That is the 6 crystals WeityWords needs to access Ganon's tower. And, well, since we can access Ganon's tower now, I guess it's that time where you'll probably see a bunch of numbers pop up in chats. Rick, what's going on with that? Explain this. I don't really get it. What are all these numbers
People
for?
just like spamming numbers.
I mean, I do too. In fact, I'm going to put one in the chat right now. Well, I guess I'll explain. I think I can figure it out. I I think they're trying to locate where the Ganon's Tower big key might be.
No, they're not. They're just trying to locate where the small key is.
Well, I might want to change my guess because I feel like 8's too long for that. But...
Well, I mean, there are a whole bunch of small keys inside of that dungeon. You might still be right with that 8 guess.
That's true, but it won't be the first one, I imagine, unless I just get that unlucky or that lucky.
So, naturally, what we're trying to do by way of chat here as Weighty makes his way up to the top of Death Mountain is we're trying to figure out where the big key is going to be. It can be in any of the first 22 chests or the torch, which counts as a chest for purposes of counting as we move along here through this mountain. I am going to go ahead and say my guess is number 12.
Well, I always go with 8, so I'm sticking with 8.
And just as one last reminder for our viewers here that are watching, the reason why you're seeing WeightyWords go into Ganon's Tower without that turtle rock illuminated, by choice of the runners in this tournament, this race is standard 6-6 mode, so you only need 6 crystals to get into Ganon's Tower. As we see only 6 crystals circling around. That looks a little weird without that 7th crystal there, but that's why we're heading into Ganon's Tower right now.
It's actually kind of fun. On the website, you can even pick an option where it's random crystals for both GT and Ganon. And you saw that little signpost outside of Ganon's Tower. That'll actually tell you how many crystals you need to enter Ganon's Tower with if you select that setting. So just kind of a neat little way that the Randomizer developers have customized this game we know and love to make it even more randomizable. Is that a word, randomizable? Sounds like it. Whatever.
It should be. We'll contact Merriam-Webster to try to get it added to the dictionary for next year.
Okay, I'll start working on that after this race for sure.
So we get a sun with a small key, a shield, a second small key, a mushroom, which won't lead to a key, and another small key. That's 4 keys for WeightyWords, and he's doing Dark Magician route.
Yes, he is. So basically what this route entails is you check the first few checks on the left side, get to the Stalfos room. Once you do that, you kind of double back and go to the right, which didn't even need that first part of the Dark Magician route. We could have just gone straight to the Hope Room because, yeah, there's our big key.
So if you guess chest number 7, you got a gift by WeightyWords' routing. Instead of it being chest number 1 or chest number 2, it's chest number 7, and you are the winner. Slim Kirby, what do they...
Well, you win the Fabled Ice Rod, which we did not find in this seed, but who knows, you may need that for another seed.
And be sure to do exclamation point schedule, because there's a whole bunch of Link to the Past randomizer races coming your way tonight, tomorrow, into the weekend. As we start to whittle down some of the nut runners, we are slowly getting ourselves down to the 64 that will make it into a large 6-round bracket that will begin right after the holiday, after Christmas.
Yeah, we started with around 300 people in the initial qualifiers, knocked it down to 128, knocking it down to 64, and then from 64 we're going to be working until we get that one winner. So all these players are here to win. They've put on a great show. Definitely consider giving both these runners a follow for them putting on such an entertaining and exciting race and an entertaining series as well. This series has been really, really fun to watch. Going back to Game 1, a 3-second difference. 1 second higher than a tie, a tournament official tie. So, both these runners are very skilled, and they've put on an amazing show for this entire series.
And it's amazing the fact that we've had, 3 ties in this tournament so far. Obviously, this one is not going to be the case. As WeightyWords makes his way up to the 5th floor, BigDunka about to head to Ganon's Tower. But, you know, a lot of fantastic races still to come here in the Link to the Past Randomizer tournament. And when we get to brackets, the rules remain the same. 7-7 open defeat Ganon is going to be the mode for game 1. And then the loser of game 1 gets to choose a setting that they could swap to for game 2 if they choose to do so. And then if it goes to a game 3, the loser of game 2 gets to do another choice or revert it back to 7-7 open.
Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. It's not as crazy or intense as the last tournament is, where we had the possibility of Randomizer and Key Sanity and inverted mode, swordless, all those other options. But, you know, since we kind of had a crazy tournament like that, we decided to kind of revert to, you know, more kind of classical settings for this tournament. So that's kind of what we're going with. And it's been pretty fun so far.
And I think you've said it pretty nicely there with the fact that we're calling it kind of more classical type of settings here. As WeightyWords takes care of the Moldworm 2 fight, gets ready to pick up the chest that appears to hook shot on over, does not check it, does have absolutely no reason to check it at this point. It's time to head to Agate 2, see how geometry works this time around. As BigDunka makes his way over towards Ganon's tower. Don't forget, BigDunka's not done with this tournament here. He'll drop down into the tiebreaker for Group M, and will have one more chance to qualify for brackets.
As we mentioned before, his opponent will either be Catabat, an opponent he defeated earlier to get to this match, or it will be Bombchu Missile. So definitely keep your eyes out on the schedule. BigDunka will not be out of this tournament yet, so definitely keep an eye on his further progression. He put on quite a show, even with the Turtle Rock play that he made. He's still making this race pretty dang close, considering. And he's... Go for it.
I was going to say, and that's the thing here, is that it's just unfortunate luck for BigDunka. He didn't get beat by execution. He didn't get beat by taking bad deaths. He got beat by making an unlucky play. It turned out that Turtle Rock was not the answer to the problems. As WeightyWords gets ready to face off against Ganon, Tempered Sword, Silver Arrows, not going to be a problem here for Weighty as he gets the spin. He's at 6 hits, makes that 8 and 10 and 12, and here we go, phase 2.
I'm going to use some nice little dash strats and spin strats, kind of a combo of the two. Like seeing that.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and activate the cape here to get the last hit on the Ganon. Oh, I think he miscounted.
Yeah, I think he miscounted a little bit there, but still kind of cool that he showed like several different ways to put the damage on Ganon right there. He did the spins, he did the dashes, he even put the cape on for a little bit.
So 12 hits is what you need to get into the next stage. There, Weighty apparently just came up a little unfortunate here, but you know, small potatoes at this point. Weighty's well on his way to victory as BigDunka gets ready to climb the tower, and 4 silver arrows to Ganon, and he will be done for the count.
And Ganon is not wanting to leave that corner, but he is going to be forced out now, and there is the final silver hits.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in the chat for your race winner and group winner, WeightyWords, finishing in an official SRL time of 1:20:47.
Yeah, very, very well executed on WeightyWords' part, and also really just good routing too, focused on a lot of the crystal dungeons he could clear at the time, and that ultimately what led to his victory. He stuck to crystal dungeons, found the mirror in Ice Palace, and was able to pick his last 2 dungeons from there.
Hey, Slim.
What's up?
He gets to drink for the fire hose.
Oh, I'm so lucky. That's the one thing I wanted to do. But you know what? He earned it. He earned it.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and see if he wants to come in for an interview coming up in just a few moments, as BigDunka will be finishing off with this seed. Let's get in here. The winner of this match, WeightyWords.
Hey guys.
So pretty good, decent seed. Nothing like a 10-minute Dark World access.
Yeah, that was crazy. I love seeds like this because it like opens up everything, and there's just so much you can do. There's no like, you don't. There's not like a streamlined linear path that you take. So it was really interesting.
So naturally, both of you ended up going through Skull Woods together. The paths diverged just a little bit once after Skull Woods. You went into Thieves Town. You got one item out of the first 4. Is that part of why you continued to dig that dungeon, plus the fact that it was green path?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I went into Dark World right away, like kind of already like expecting to full clear the Dark World because like I figured that I got this early Dark World access. I'm gonna skip South Shore. I'm just gonna do pretty much the whole loop and full clear that to see what I get, so that I maybe when I do go over to the eastern area, I'll have the green pendant, and all that stuff. And it just ended up working out because I know that a lot of people would have been baited by getting those flippers and leaving. So it just ended up working out, doing that whole loop and getting those hook and mitts early.
I bet you also appreciated that it was the hook shot, the second item you got after what happened in game 2, right?
Oh yeah, that's also why I picked standard. Because
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about escape at all. I don't like escape.
Yeah, we figured that after what happened to you in game number 2, that you were going to remove any chances of the escape coming back to haunt you by doing that. What a nice opening round of items here by way of the fire rod, the sword, and the first glove.
Yeah, we got so many items early, and like we were just looking for that gosh dang mirror for pretty much like half of the seed. We were like had all the items other than like bow and mirror, and bow was on Death Mountain and mirror was nowhere to be found.
And so what an interesting route it wanted you to take to get to the bows, by the way. The first bow being lamp locked, so that wasn't the logical one that you were supposed to get first. The magic bat was the first one.
Yeah, I was so surprised. I got the bow on Death Mountain and assumed the lamp was like in pod or eastern or somewhere silly, and then I found the lamp in bow locked pod, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? Where's the other bow? So I was a little bit wary of it, and I mean I guess that's the power was in like Hype Cave or something. So
Yeah,
it wasn't.
yeah.
It was we got pretty early access to that.
So naturally, the big difference between the two of you, I don't know how much communication you two had after you finished here, but turned out that BigDunka made the dive into Turtle Rock, and that pretty much set him further back when the mirror turned out to be on the path of finishing dungeons. Is that kind of the reason why you decided to go into Eastern, go into the Palace of Darkness, then go into Ice Palace, because you were hoping to find that mirror on the path you had to take?
Yeah, I was definitely worried about the mirror. So at the time I was doing Death Mountain, I knew it was all out of logic, and I didn't have any medallions yet. So my plan was to, go do East Side Dark World and then go up on the bottom Mitts portal instead of using the TR portal because I didn't have any medallions. Turns out the medallion was in Paradox, but I had kind of already committed to that idea. And so when I saw that Turtle Rock was Bombos, I was worried because I didn't have mirror and I didn't want to save and quit and go all the way back just to go into TR, so I decided to leave. And turns out that actually worked out really well.
So as a result, you ended up coming away with the victory over BigDunka. We'll find out how long of a victory this is going to be in just a few moments, as BigDunka is about to do his silverless Ganon fight because he never got the silvers off the magic bat. But you now have qualified for the 64-person bracket round. Your thought?
I'm super happy because I was always I know I'm the first seed, but like the competition's so close that like I know that anybody can beat anybody. So if someone has a good day, they could definitely beat me. So I was a little bit worried about it. So it's kind of a relief to have it all done, and I can sit back and watch the last week and see who else qualified. So I'm very happy for that.
Can we get a shout out to your dog?
he wants attention because I've been ignoring him racing.
Well,
Yeah,
now
he's-
it's time that you can definitely give him the attention.
Yeah, definitely.
12 spins here for BigDunka, then he'll be finished off with this Ganon fight, getting some doubles and triples here per cycle. Definitely a great Ganon fight for BigDunka. I'm not sure the exact count. Yep, there it is.
there it
12.
is.
GG to BigDunka.
Yeah, gonna be finishing about 6.5 to 7 minutes after WeightyWords, but still, like, not a huge difference, honestly, considering he had a whole dip of Turtle Rock in between there. So, yeah, definitely GG to him for a good performance here.
And we'll get him in here in just a second. Actually, we'll get him in right now. Hello, BigDunka. GG.
GG, gentlemen.
GG's Dunka.
So naturally, the question is how far did you feel how far behind did you feel you were after you made the Turtle Rock dive and got nothing out of it?
I wasn't convinced I was that far behind with the early Nits play until finding the mirror in ice, and then I had a pretty good idea I was there. There's that 20-minute lull between the 30-minute and the 50-minute mark where things just slowed to a crawl. That's when it starts to set in.
Shout out to 212 menu time there for waiting.
Oh yeah, it was a super fast seed, so
Yeah, that's totally understandable. One thing I do want to ask here for Weighty before we say goodbye to him, that cold stare recovery, you swung and missed him after his casing melted, and then you got a couple of double shots. You got a double shot and a triple shot with a fire rod. Great recovery. How do you keep your mind calm when you're going through a cold stare fight like that where you miss on that whiff?
So I was I didn't realize that I had not full magic because I was wearing, when I went into Ice Palace I didn't have full magic, so I was gonna pick up the 2 magic pots so I had full magic, but then I forgot that I powdered for health in the middle, so I wasn't really ready to use Bombos. I just like realized it, as I was dropping the cold stare, so I was kind of like a little bit off already, so I missed my spin, but like, since I have Bombos and Fire Rod, it's not a huge deal. I some of the splashes and movements of the cold stare were just lucky. If you have Fire Rod, if you just stand back and be patient and keep the puffs away from you, it's a pretty easy thing.
Yeah, that was an amazing recovery right there. So BigDunka, you could take a look at this many different ways here, but it came down to luck. Unfortunately, Turtle Rock came up empty, and it turned out that the item for Go Mode was on the path that you guys needed to take. We never saw where the Ice Rod turned out to be, but if you had found the Ice Rod in Turtle Rock, what dungeon were you going to consider skipping for your 7th crystal?
Well, at that point, it would have come down to desert because I still didn't have a way to get to desert without the mirror. So if I would have found, it was for 30 minutes, it was mirror or Ice Rod and book. So I don't know, maybe Ice Rod was in there and book was on Trinex. That'd have been great.
That would have been crazy. Never saw what the book turned out to be either. So, you could just chalk this up to just unfortunate luck in your regards here. You had some great execution moments, some great skills here, and you're not done with this tournament just yet. You're going to drop down into the tiebreak where it's going to be you against somebody else in Group M for the chance to move on to that 64-person bracket.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice to have a week off, but it is what it is. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but sure would have been nice to just get it all done. But so be it.
So between Bomb Tube Missile and Catabat, who you ended up facing in the first round, do you have any preference on who you want to face in the title?
Well, I know Catabat. He's a regular in my channel, and I've already told him that he needs to win so that he can extract his revenge. So honestly, I haven't seen a Bombchu Missile play yet. Unfortunately, I missed the first game between these two, and I don't think I've really seen him play. So I have no preference just because I just don't know.
Well, we'll see how it goes next week for the two of you. Good luck.
Yeah, much appreciated. And just throwing this out here, just for the record, I was the one that chose 6-6 for this match, so that I didn't have to do Ice Palace. I'm just throwing that out there.
And yet you still had to do Ice Palace.
It got me.
Yeah.
I have an unnatural hatred for Ice Palace.
And with the mirror there now, you have a little more hatred.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Slim?
No, you honestly covered a lot of it. Definitely thanks to both of you for putting on an amazing race and an amazing series. I followed all 3 races of this series, and it was very, very entertaining to watch, from the 3-second difference in game 1 to the wacky shenanigans of game 2 with the hook shot and the ice rod scenario, to even this game. Really, like we said, just came down to that Turtle Rock play. Unfortunately, just did not pay off in this particular seed, but it was very exciting to see the possibility of it paying off. So definitely kudos to both of you guys for putting on an amazing show, amazing 3 shows at that, and for this tournament. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks to all you guys.
Exactly. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to the tracker for, as usual, for everything. It's always awesome to, rewatch these and listen to that.
Shout outs to Nip Boy doing the tracking for us. So time to get out of here, but we got some great races still on the air right now. Over on ALTTPR Randomizer, ALTTP Randomizer, we have Sterling Gallant versus Pika Pals. That is going on right now over on that channel. We got some more Link to the Past Randomizer coming up here on the Speed Gaming channels later on tonight. BBB Kermit versus Willard J. Bradley. That's over on Speed Gaming 3, Game 2 of that Best of 3 series. That begins in about 25 minutes from now at 10:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And then coming up in about an hour and a half from now at 11:20 p.m. Eastern, on this channel, we have Plasma Kappa versus Ganon's Gone Wild.
Yeah, a lot of very exciting races coming up, and we still have we have this weekend, we have a whole nother week of this group stage. It'll be really, really entertaining as we start to find out who the remaining runners will be making into that 64-person bracket. Starting to see a couple of names appear from the winners matches, and soon we'll start seeing those tiebreaker matches as well. So definitely keep a lookout, especially for this group, to see if BigDunka will be the second person moving on from Group M, or there's a lot of other groups. I think we go up to like Group AE or something, so a lot of different groups you can keep watch of. But yeah, once again, thank you, Nif Boy, for doing the tracking. Thanks to all of you guys for hanging with us and watching. Of course, one more thanks to the runners for putting on this show. And, of course, thank you, Adirondack Rick, my fellow commentator for this race. It was always a joy commentating with you. This is a really fun one to talk about, and I appreciate you joining me on this.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Slim Kirby. One last plug before we get off the air. Coming up tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific, over on twitch.tv/speedgaming. It's the next of our Chase for the Record series. We're playing the Sunsoft hit of the 1980s, the NES classic, Batman. Will a new record fall? Find out tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern, Chase for the Record, Batman for the NES. That is over on twitch.tv/speedgaming. And we got Sidetrack Kid and Sinister One on commentaries. And if you love Sinister One commentary, you're in for a treat tomorrow. That's once again 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific on Speed Gaming tomorrow. So with that being said, shout outs once again to Nip Boy, shout outs to Slim Kirby, shout outs to our runners, BigDunka, WeightyWords. I'm Adirondack Rick saying thank you for joining us for this edition of A Link to the Past Randomizer. We'll see you next time.
And this is Slim Kirby echoing that. See you guys later.